Hello my sweet friends and welcome to DIY with Nadia. My sidekick here is Louie and my name is Nadia. On this channel you will find loads and loads of wreath tutorials, swags, hauls, sometimes even home decor. If you are new to this channel and enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course hit the little bell button. With that said, let's get started on our gorgeous Christmas swags. For this swag wreath, I'm starting with a white Christmas tree from the Dollar Tree. This is going to be our base. Then you're going to need some white berries, or maybe some white branches, or these beautiful bay leaves. Then I'm going to be using these little candy picks along with this sweet little owl. And for ribbon, I'm going to be using this beautiful birch ribbon that I got at Hobby Lobby and a white ribbon. This one I got at Craft Outlet. Both of my ribbons are 2.5 inches in width and they are wired. Then I am going to use a few bushels of lamb's ear. These I get at Walmart. We're starting with a Christmas tree. We're not going to need any of these, so we're going to throw those out. Plus this bottom part right here, we don't need that either. This time I'm not going to be putting this metal part at the top. It's going to be at the bottom. This is where the bow is going to be. And the first thing I do is I check where these little guys are, and that's going to be my top. Anything in the back, send it to the front. For this swag, you can definitely use floral wire or pipe cleaners. I'm going to be using some zip ties. And these are the average 6-inch zip ties that I always use. And there's a link in my description box and also in my Amazon store. And if you want to know what type of container this is actually a pen box. The 6-inch zip ties just really fit in perfectly, so I like using it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the tree upside down and we're going to make the hook. This stem right here, the tallest one, going to bend it, and you can either bend it onto itself and zip tie it, or you can zip tie it to the actual stem. That is what I'm going to do. And if you're going to use a zip tie, you can get away with it, but if you're going to use anything else, it's not going to hold as well in the back. After zip tying it in place, the little tail that's left at the bottom, I'm going to flip it up, and that way you have a nice secure hook. Let's cut off the tail. Next, I'm going to attach the lamb's ear. These come two in a little bundle. First thing I'm going to do is wiggle it in, and I'm going to be attaching to the stem. Let's put the second one in, going the opposite way. And this one I'm going to bring lower just a little bit. Now I have my first two. Grabbing my zip tie, actually attach both of them together. I'm going to just keep that here. I'm not going to cut these because I might want to attach them a little bit lower also. The next one I'm going to put a little lower and on the other side of the one we just put in. And then the other one we're going to put facing the other way. That one's going to go a little lower than this one, zigzagging it down, and that way I'm filling in all that space. Let's put the next set in. I'm going to add one more bundle because I really want this to be a full swag, and that's going to go right here. I'm going to bend it. Look how full this is already. So I'm going to turn this around to see what's going on in the back, and I'm going to just feel for the stems and start attaching. Then a nice zip tie here, and see, it's not as much zip ties as you think. I'm on zip tie number 3 when it comes to the actual greenery. Here at the bottom, I'm going to cut these a little bit lower than this part so it has a little bit of protection. Now that our greenery is in, I'm going to bring in the bay leaves. Our bay leaves are a 2-branch set, so I'm going to cut those off. Now let's put these in place, and I want them sticking out a little bit here and there. You have to have one in the middle, another one on the side, and I might put one straight at the top. None of my bay leaves are attached yet. That's just fine. I'm bringing in my sweet little white berries, and I do want to make sure that I have a bushel toward the top like that because I only have 3, and then one is going to go right here and right here. This one I'm going to put a little higher. Now it's time to make sure everything is attached, and you can do one of two things. Either zip tie them or use your floral wire, or where you can get away with it, use one of these branches, and right here you have a little section that if I go around, this is going to get locked in. Let me do another twist. And that's it. This little branch is going nowhere. And if I wanted to cover the white up, I can definitely just throw one of these leaves in there. Best way to attach these is to zip tie to some branches from the Christmas tree along with our actual lamb's ear. So just use your judgment, see how you can make sure that it's secured and what works best for your swag. This one in the center is not attached to anything, so I'm going to just send a zip tie to the back, and that is how I'm going to make sure that it's attached. And always remember, when you cut something off and you have that little sharp end, make sure to send it to the side so it doesn't scratch the wall wherever this is going to be hanging, or door. Now it's time to put on my final touches, and I just wanted to mention that the candy here, the white berries, and this sweet little owl I got at Joann's after Christmas last year. I don't know about you guys, but I love shopping after Christmas sales. Let me know in the comments below if you're like me. And I shop more after Christmas than during the Christmas season, to be honest. Just putting the owl in, and I'll secure it a little later. Now I'm going to put these candies in, and I only have two, so you don't really want to put them together. You still kind of want to zigzag them. Just shorten the candy up just a little bit. I'm going to put that one right there. We have our owl, we have the candy. Now it's time to make the bow. I need to make sure that my bow covers this whole section right here, and that it is more or less proportionate to our swag. I decided to make a funky bow, so whatever ribbon you're using, you're going to need 6 to 8 pieces. This ribbon is 2.5 inches in width, and it's quite a thick ribbon, so I'm going to do 6 pieces. So 3 of the birch tree one and 3 of this white one. Each strip is going to be 22 inches. I'm just going to use my ruler, go to the 11-inch mark. And so of course 11 times 2 is 22. So there is our 22-inch mark. To fold this in half, there you go. And I'm just going to make 3 strips at 22 inches. Same thing with the white ribbon. And now I'm going to go to the endings on both sides, fold my ribbon in half, cut a little triangle to make dovetails. Now I'm going to start folding my ribbon in half, and we want the loop to be 5 inches. At the 5-inch mark, I'm just going to put it between my thumb and my pointer finger. 5 inches. And this one we're going to face the same way. Now I'm going to go to my third ribbon, get my 5 inches. Now I'm going to go to the other side. Same side, and then the third one. At this point, your funky bow should look something like that. Your tail should be a little longer than your loops. Wiggle it in, bring that center in. And to tie it off, I'm going to use a zip tie, especially that I have a high-end ribbon like this birch tree one. It's really, really thick. Another reason I like to use zip ties on bows like this is because this is a very bulky bow in the center. So I'm just going to bring it nice and tight. The next thing you want to do is you want to grab all the tails of the ribbon that is one-sided, like this birch ribbon. Go to the center as much as you can, and you're going to twist it and just pull it to the side. And there you go. You have 2 that are facing the same way. With this white one, I'm not worried about that. But let's find that second birch one on this side. And we're going to do the same thing. Going to twist it. And here we are with the 2 tails. And just push them to the sides. With our loops, I tend to kind of twist them in place to bring them up and just start making the bow look really nice. But before I get into the bow a little bit more, I'm going to attach it. Let me do this last birch connection. Just easier to do it like this. Now I'm putting on another zip tie, and I'm going to attach the bow to our actual wreath form. If you are worried about the bow slipping off, here is a great trick. You take some of these leftover that I told you to keep long, and you face them up. After you do that, grab a zip tie that in place. As you can see, it's not going to go anywhere. So let me just tighten up this zip tie on the bow, and then we can just straighten the bow out, and we are done. Let's get to the fun and open up this beautiful, beautiful bow. To start with 2 Christmas trees from the Dollar Tree, and you're not going to need any of this plastic stuff, just the actual Christmas tree. Next, I'm going to be using some wired garland ties, some ornaments eventually, some florals. I'm going to be using these poinsettias that are ivory. Then these pigs. These are actually from the Dollar Tree. Look how pretty these are. Then you're going to need some floral wire. For this type of wreath, I highly encourage that you go through your ribbon stash and look through what you have left, what you can use up, because you can make a simple bow if you have a certain ribbon that is not that long, or if you have more of a ribbon that's left over, you can make a poof bow. So you can definitely adjust what you have with the actual wreath. Last but not least, you're going to need a few zip ties. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten my Christmas trees. Next, I'm going to overlay my Christmas trees, the second one on top. I'm going to lay a little further. Let me show you from the back. Basically, where the base is at the top, right here at the stem, that's where this next one is going to start. And then I'm going to grab a zip tie, and I'm going to zip tie Christmas trees in 2 places where I feel like it's going to hold really well, nice and tight, and of course towards the top. Next, I'm going to grab a wired garland tie, and this one matches my greenery pretty well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some hot glue right inside this little opening right here and stick it in just a little bit. You don't need much. And that's just so it stays in place. Next, I'm just going to add some hot glue right there. And then I'm going to make a loop right on top, just holding my finger right here. I'm going to make a loop, and then I'm going to start going down. The loop is to hang the wreath, and the rest is to conceal this area right here. I'm going to put a little bit more hot glue, and I'm going to put more just to cover the rest of it. We're going to have a bow here, so it really doesn't matter too much, but at least you have that covered. And in the back, it's much nicer, and in the front. Now I'm going to start opening everything up, and any of these branches, just start opening everything up and bringing it up. That way we know what we have to work with. This area right here where the 2 are overlapping, it has a big space. This is where the bow is going to go. The rest, we're just going to open, open, open. This area should be nice and full for you. And if you see zip ties or any of that, that's fine. We are going to cover everything. In this area right here, to kind of fill this space up, going to grab one of the garland ties, wrap it around that area, and just let it go. If you want, you can definitely just throw in some hot glue so it stays in place. That way you kind of filled in that area a little bit more. The rest, we should be fine. The next thing I like to do is the bow, because that is our focal point. And when you're done with the bow, you can see what you can put in and where. I'm going to be using the bow maker, and I have this in my Amazon shop. I have it in the description box, so you can just click the link and find it. They are not expensive, anywhere from $11 to $13. You can definitely do this without one. Just these dowels help to keep everything in place, and I like using that. So I'm going to measure my little tail about 6 inches. I'm not going to really need a big long tail on this one, and because this is one-sided, I'm going to do a twist. My loops, I don't want too big, so I'm going to keep them about 4.5 inches. Then another twist, because as you can see, this is shiny and this is matte. I only did 4 loops of the ivory ribbon, and now I'm going to do the red ribbon. As I said, I highly encourage using your leftovers. I'm not doing dovetails with this bow. I'm just doing little angled bow tails. This one is one-sided also. You want the gold to be on top. Here it's matte. So I'm going to start with the tail, and I'm going to twist. And then I'm going to continue making 4.5 inch little loops. To bring my bow together, I'm just going to use a zip tie, cut the tail off, and then I'm going to grab a floral wire and just twist it in the back. And this is just so I have something to tie to our actual wreath form. And then I'm going to just continue twisting and making sure my bow is nice and secure. Now I'm going to just poof out my bow, because the decorating part of it will all depend how everything looks. Fluffing out the bow is very important to do that in the beginning. After my bow is on, now it's time to fill it in. To decorate, we are going to go from the largest to the smallest. So our largest would be these picks from the Dollar Tree. The first one, I'm going to cover this area right here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick it through, and as you can see, it went through the wire right here in the bow. And if you feel like it's loose, you can definitely grab some hot glue, put some hot glue. You can wrap one of these around, but it's so tight against the actual stem that it's not going to go anywhere. The next two, I'm going to spread them out. I want one to be about there. Just going to lightly put it first. And then the other one to be around somewhere right here. I'm going to go towards the stem, and I'm going to grab one of my branches and wrap it around. Then I'm going to grab that same branch and go in between the two of these, and then I'm going to push it up. This is what's going to lock this in place. I'm going to do the same process and put this one in a little bit lower, because we want this beautiful cascade. As I'm looking at my wreath, I want more greenery here. So I'm just putting in one of the wired garlands, and I'm going to twist it, and you could put as many of these as you want. Now it's time to bring our poinsettias in, and I'm going to start at the top, and I want to cover this area just a little bit, give it a little bit more dimension. We have a bow going on. I don't necessarily want it in the center, but that's where it's going to end up. And I'm just going to hot glue it basically to this pick right here. Then I'm going to lay the rest of them out, and I try to work in a bit of a zigzag pattern. I decided to add only 2 more, one right here and the other one a little lower to the side. For this next part, you can either use ornaments or you can use these picks also from the Dollar Tree, you guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these apart, and I'm just going to start sticking them in and wrapping the greenery around them. And then once all of them are in, that's when I'm going to come back with some hot glue and make sure that they are settled in place nicely. I need more fullness right here, so what I decided to do is grab more of my leftover ribbon and basically make tails. Find my center and just go around our actual bow. And after I went all the way around nice and tight, I'm going to do a quick twist, hot glue it in place, and we just filled in that side. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. And then with my ivory one, because it's a little thicker, I'm just going to go underneath and hot glue it in place underneath the bow. And that's just going to stick on the sides. I can make it shorter if I need to. So there's a quick solution if you want a little bit more fullness. Now all that's left is to bring some of the red in the bow a little bit throughout the wreath. So I'm going to be using these glittery pom-poms. They come in different styles. These have little sparkles on them, and because of all the sparkle I have going on, they will match. So I'm going to be using those, but they have fuzzy ones. They have some vase fillers like this you can use, or just simple ones like this that Dollar Tree has. And now I'm just going to grab these and start hot gluing them here and there. And then I got some white fuzzies. And these are just clean little snowflake, I guess, looking ones. I'm going to hot glue these throughout. Here are the basics that I'm going to be using for this wreath. Some ribbon, deco mesh, a bit of pipe cleaners, a sign. This one is from the Dollar Tree. And for the base of this swag, we're going to be using this rail that I got at Craft Outlet. Now it's time to attach our pipe cleaners to our rail. What you want to do in a rail is you want to go in a zigzag. So on one side, you are going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pipe cleaners. On the other side, you are going to go in the middle of the squares and you are going to have 5. So let's do middle of the squares first. And 2 twists. I went on this inside rail, gave it 1 twist, and I'm going to take one of them and just twist out. And that way this one is going to go nowhere. So once again, I'm going to go in the center here, give it 1 twist, go to the edge and take one of the pipe cleaners and wrap it around just like that. It's nice and secure. I usually don't use hot glue on this, but we need this to be in place temporarily because at the end, we are going to put felt on the back of this, so that way it's going to seal all of these moving parts in. But for now, I'm just going to give it a little bit of hot glue so it stays in place. Just so you know, I am working on a silicone mat, so it's not afraid of hot glue dripping. Now it's time to cut my deco mesh. I'm going to be cutting my deco mesh into 30-inch strips. If you're using one of these deco mesh rolls that has only 18 feet, this is going to give you only 7 sections. If you need 8 out of this, you need to cut it down to 27. But I'm going to be okay with just 7 from this roll, so I'm going to be cutting into 30-inch strips. My board is 24 inches, so when I need to cut 30-inch deco mesh strips, what I do is I grab my ruler and I go to 5.5 inches and put that right underneath. So what I have here is 5.5 inches plus the border ½ inch is 6 inches on the outside, 24 on the inside. That gives me 30 inches. Now it's time to attach our deco mesh to our rail. Unroll, going towards the table. Do a little fold in the end. Just gather, gather, gather. We're going to fold and then bring that in also. 2 nice twists, and the first one is on. Same thing here. 1 quick little fold at the end and gather. Towards the end, I'm going to fold on that side and the next pipe cleaner. Look how it's filling in. So pretty. I'm going to go ahead and finish up the rest of the rail, putting in the little ruffles. Now I'm going to grab some of this Dollar Tree ribbon. I'm going to be making 12-inch strips, and because we have 11 pipe cleaners, we're going to need 22 of them. All I'm doing right now is just making dovetails and cutting my ribbon at the same time, just folding the ends in half and cutting off a little triangle. I have 22-inch strips all cut up. Now it's time to attach. For the ribbon bundles, I'm just going to grab 2 pieces, fold them in half to find my center, and squeeze in the middle. And then attach. As you see, I'm attaching the ribbon without opening it up. I always like doing that at the end. All my ribbon is in, and I just pushed both tails to the side because we want to take care of the center. Towards the bottom of my swag, I'm going to have this joy sign, and on top, we're going to have a beautiful funky bow. For the funky bow, we are going to keep it simple. I have this beautiful birch ribbon, then some white ribbon, then some of this sage green that I got during fall at the Dollar Tree, and of course, a little bit of the red to bring everything together. I'm going to be cutting my ribbon into 24-inch strips. Fold it in half and cut dovetails. For my funky bow, I have 5 strips. Since all my strips are measured in half, all I'm doing is just grabbing my strip and measuring off 5 inches and just putting it inside my thumb, just like this. Grabbing my white one, I'm going to do the same thing, 5 inches, but I'm going to invert it and put it this way. Then the green one, 5 inches. Then my birch one, which is my absolute favorite one. And by the way, birch tree is my favorite tree. When my parents got married in Ukraine, they took pictures in the forest in the middle of birch trees, and oh my goodness, was it beautiful. Okay, so I have it all together and I have loop, 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 just like that. And now I'm going to grab a zip tie, zigzag it in the center. With the zip tie, I'm going to bring it together. Now that my bow is together, I'm grabbing a big piece of floral wire because that is what I'm going to use to attach it to our actual wreath. I want to make sure I know where my sign is going to be. And then now I'm ready to attach my bow to the rail. Grabbing my bow, going to attach it first to this rail going side to side, and then I'm going to lock it in going to the sides and just going back and forth to make sure it's nice and secured. Cutting another piece of the floral wire, I'm going to fold it in half and twist it. Now I'm going on the second rail with my wire. I'm just making a loop to hang the swag, and I'm going to take both ends, give it a twist or two, and then I'm going to take the tails and I'm going to wrap them around the sides. Then where you have all of that, we're just going to put that around the rail, and at the bottom we are going to give it a twist, and I just made a little loop. Going to put a little bit of hot glue so this stays in place. In order to measure where I want everything to go, I'm going to go just parallel to my board, just like that. I'm just going to flip and find 2 spots that look good to me. There, and somewhere around here. Maybe I'll bring that in just a little bit. And then I'm just going to go parallel to that. About there and there. Grabbing 4 pipe cleaners, fold in half, make a flat little surface on the end. A little bit of hot glue, pipe cleaner. Then hot glue on top, the bottom. That way we have nice surface to attach the whole piece of felt. Now I'm going to attach my sign. Our sign is attached. I'm going to go around and take care of the tails on top. Just twist, twist, twist. Cut off the excess about 1 inch from the connection and then send it back. I'm going to go around and do this to all the ribbon bundles. Now it's time to cover with the felt. I'm going to grab a piece that is 18 inches by 4.5 because this is 4. You want a little bit more. A piece for the top, which is going to be 4.5 by 4.5. And now I'm attaching the back. I just hot glued top, bottom, and then the sides. Then I have my little loop. I pushed it down, and now it's time to do the top piece. Same thing, I'm going to do the top first. I'm not going to do the bottom, obviously. I'm going to keep that open, but then I'm just going to do the sides. And I have to say, having a fine tip on the hot glue gun really kind of helps when you're doing this because the rails are quite thin. And there you go, nice and neat. And now it's time to start opening everything up. I absolutely love this part. And I'm just going to start kind of looping it so that ribbon kind of looks like a little flower, just like that. If I feel like there's too much ribbon somewhere, I take one and hide it behind the sign. And now it's time to open the bow. We're just going to take our tails and put them to the sides and start opening up all those loops. If your ribbon is one-sided, like my birch ribbon here, I'm going to go as close to the center as I can, give it a little twist, and then send the tail out. And the other one's going to go on the other side, of course. Then open up the next one and just keep on playing with the bow until it looks like the way you want it to look. Keep on sending those tails back and just fluffing everything out. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to grab these ornaments. They come 2 in a set. Dollar Tree started carrying them last year, and I just think they're so, so pretty. So let me just cut off the thread there. And all I'm going to do is hot glue a few of them throughout the wreath. Put some hot glue right on top and just push it in. Definitely want one right here. and maybe one on top. And we are done with this beautiful Christmas rail swag. I'm just going to continue making things pretty until everything is just how I want it. Started on this swag wreath using this 18-inch Christmas tree from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to remove this bottom part. And so the first thing I'm going to do is just open up the Christmas tree, making sure to pull all our branches to one side. I'm just pulling up my branches to the front because I want to paint them a little bit with white to make it look a little flocked. So I'm just getting a little piece of napkin, a very, very shabby brush, some chalk paint, get that excess off so our paintbrush is quite on the dry end. And then I'm just going to start brushing it. Look what we have now, and it just turns into this kind of beautiful, more expensive looking swag. Now we're going to let this dry as we prepare everything we're going to put on our swag. For this swag, we're just doing one DIY, and it's very much optional. You don't have to do it. You can either use the buffalo check ribbon for this project, or you can use some fabric. I'm going to be using these little 16-piece ornaments, and I have 5 left over. I cut out these little squares, and I picked the bigger ones to match our ribbon. And just so you know how big it is, and it's about 3 by 3. I got my square and my ornament. I recommend bringing the corners together first, placing it in the center. I'm going to bring up one corner and then the opposite side of that corner. Give it a little bit of hot glue right there. And then this part is going to go up, covering everything, and it's nice and neat. Now I'm just cutting off the excess tails right here, and I'm going to be using some jute cord, hot gluing the jute cord around the top of the ornament. There you go, a little bit of hot glue. Hot glue it in place. And here I'm leaving just a little bit of room, some floral wire, putting it through the top. And I'm grabbing about 14 inches in total. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just twist the wire. And the reason I did that is because I'm using the thin floral wire from the Dollar Tree. And twisting it like this just makes it stronger and easier to work with. I'm going to continue the same thing and finish up these ornaments. And then we're going to start making our bow. We're just making a 6-loop bow. So I like the length of 12 inches. Don't forget, it's going to get poofy. This is just flat here. And so that means we're going to do 6 inches on each side. To measure our bow, I'm going to be using this ruler. It's 12 inches long. And since we are starting, which means this is where we're going to gather at 6 inches, you want to start at least 1 inch to 2 inches so we have somewhere to lock the tail in. I'm going to start at 4 right here. That way I'm giving myself 2 inches where we're going to bring the bow together. I have 3 loops right here, 3 loops right there. Now I'm going to look for my center. There's my 6 inches, and I'm going to go 2 inches further. I'm going to go to 8. Find your center and just pinch it. Squeeze, put the wire around the bow to the back, make it nice and tight. And my back is basically where I ended with the tail. 2 good twists. Now I'm bringing my wire up. I'm going to give it 1 twist on top just to kind of seal it in. And then I'm ready to do the next bow. On top of this bow, we're going to make another bow, and it's going to be this 2-inch Dollar Tree ribbon. I use the ruler a lot because I'm showing you what I'm doing, but honestly, you could do this freehand. Make sure that you like how big you're making it, and then just go for it. So for me, I do want an 9-inch bow. We got 4.5, that's our center. I'm going up to 2.5 right here. This is wired ribbon, so this is going to be easy just to go around. There you go. 3 loops on both sides. All you have to remember is you do want these to overlap nicely so you have a nice secure bow. There's my center, and I'm going to just lay my bow with the ending facing down. Squeeze it in here. Bring it to the back. Wrap it around. Wrap it back around. And we're ready to attach it to our swag right here. To hang my wreath, we're going to put some jute cord right here. I'm just attaching a piece of jute cord to one side, then I'm going to put some hot glue on the other side, and this is how we're going to hang our swag. Cut off the excess. Next, grabbing another piece of jute cord, starting from the top or the bottom, really up to you. We're going to wrap it around. As you can see, I'm wrapping it higher than our finish over here just to make sure that it's secured because that's pretty sharp, the edge. And I'm just going to go down right here, and this is what's going to keep this loop in place, and it's going nowhere. I'm really pulling it. Now it's time for the bow. And then whatever's excess, I'm going to just wrap it around. Now let's pull our bow apart. This is going to be hidden by one of these loops. Look at this, you guys. Within seconds, we have a real swag going on over here. The one thing you want to remember when decorating a swag, and this one is in that upside down teardrop shape, is first of all, you want to work with largest to smallest. And then you want to work in a zigzag. So if I'm starting here with berries, I'm going to do berries, berries, berries. If I'm starting with an ornament, 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 ornament. I'm going to separate my little cotton stems. And now I'm just laying things out kind of where I want them to be filled in. Okay, I'm liking the way that's starting out. So I'm going to just start hot gluing these berries in place. I think this one I'm just going to hot glue right there. There's a wire around this little cotton. I'm going to keep it on one twist, and then I'm going to put it through my bow, and I'm going to attach it to the actual stem, and it's going to be secured in place. I decided to brighten this up a little bit because I'm keeping it farmhouse, and we're really not bringing in any red or any fun colors into this. I decided to grab this fern, and this is one of my favorite things. It comes off so bad, but you know what? I don't care. I absolutely love working with this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick these in between here. Now, ideally, you want to do this before you start gluing berries on like I did over here, but I just felt like I needed them here now because it's just a little too empty. Yeah, make sure it's going the way that your Christmas tree is going here. Now that I have these where I want them, I'm going to go around and hot glue them in place. I'm going to bring in another bushel of berries. Now that I have my garland unraveled a little bit, what I'm going to do is this brown part, I'm going to kind of make a loop right there. Put the loop on the inside and like behind our branches. And then in the back, we can twist it around the branches. So it looks like these pine cones are floating here and there. This one I'm going to twist. See how easy these are to work with? They're fabulous. If we want to, we can add more wherever we need to. Okay, I know I want one at the tip right here, so I'm just gonna feed it through. Now that I know where I want them, I'm going to put them in place, and I'm just wiring them straight onto the greenery. For this wreath, I kept it really natural. We have buffalo check, black and white, green, and then just, you know, browns and beiges. start on our Glam swag, I'm going to be using this Dollar Tree Christmas tree. Look how beautiful it is. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just spread it out. Keep it flat. Anything in the back, just point it towards the front. And in the front, stand it up just a little bit. We're going to be attaching things to it. As far as hanging these Christmas trees, I'm going to show you how I usually do it. I mean, ideally it would be nice if we can like cut it right here, so then we can have this a little bit more, you know, symmetrical, and we're not gonna have to like do crazy bows in here and stuff. But the fact of the matter is, most of us are ladies who don't have hands strong enough to cut, you know, strong kind of wire, number one. And number two, we can hurt ourselves. So I'm going to do what I usually like to do. And that is, I'm going to put anything. You can use ribbon, you could use anything. And I'm going to just use a chenille wire or pipe cleaner. And when you're using something wired like this, make sure to do it this way when it's flat, meaning so you could just, you know, hang it right there. I think that's more than enough right here. Of course, use finger protectors when you want to, when you need to. And then I'm going to start by wrapping it around. I always like to go a little higher, just a little bit to cover that sharp end, and then work your way down. There's the second pipe cleaner. And there you go, more than enough right here. For this next part, I'm going to be using these gorgeous ferns, and these are they're gray and iridescent. Just like our tree is iridescent, but these are gray and iridescent. If you can't find these, you can find something like these glitter branches. Anything that is can fill it up. To make life easier on myself, I'm not even going to take it off of this. I'm just going to attach it right here. After we attach it, I'm going to cut right there. So what you want to do is you want to move whatever's going to be in the back. Let me see. We need to decide what's going on the sides, which branches. So these I want on my sides, so get those. And since we're going up, you just arrange it. For example, I want this one to go down. Move it down. There you go. That way you're already taking up space right here. Then this one right here. This one is kind of messed up. So I'm just going to put it in the back. And now I want to push these branches through. As you can see, this one is sticking out a little too much. I'm going to take this one off. And then I'm going to cut where you want this one. Maybe like right there. I'm going to cut it. Give it a dab of hot glue and put it back on. That way it'll hold. This one we're going to use to fill things up. To cover this area right here, we want some branches and things like that over here. Pull it through. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use one of these tree branches to twist it around. And that's how we're going to hold it in place. That's it. I'm not going to use any wires, nothing like that. Look at this. It's pretty already, isn't it? Then I'm going to take a big one like this, and that is how we're going to cover all the branches here, is with these bigger ones. And I'm going to hot glue it to our stem, and I'm going to add some hot glue right here to seal it in. Now it's time to do my favorite thing, and that's make a bow. I'm going to be using a ribbon I usually don't use, and it's this one. And the reason I usually don't use it is because it just ridiculously sheds sparkles. But let's not overlook how pretty this is. First, I want to see how big I want my tail to be, and I'm going to make a simple bow. Loop number 2, and then I'm going to see what it looks like on the actual swag. This is what it's going to look like. Then I'm going to decide what kind of centerpiece I want. Is this something that I want? I'm going to bring it together with a pipe cleaner. And now I'm just going to wrap it around. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in the middle and then wrap this around going to the top, covering that stem right there. And then the other one I'm going to wrap going down. To cover this area, we have plenty of branches on top. So let me show you through the back. These are just sitting here kind of taking up space. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of pull them up and then down, and it's going to cover this area right here. And if you feel like you need to add a little bit, I'm going to add one of these to give us a little bit more silver. Now we have this area covered, because don't forget, snowflake's still coming, and it's going to cover this ugliness. Okay, when you're doing this, make sure this part is facing down because it's easily covered by a leaf. So let's get the snowflake on. As you saw, I'm very generous with my hot glue. Cut these on an angle. So now it's time to what I call balance things out. We're going to bring in some of these snowflake, and these are foam scatter from the Dollar Tree. And because we have plenty of silver, we're going to be using just the white ones. We're going to hot glue them throughout. We need one at the tip right there. That's going to cover some of that gray. If you feel like it needs something else, you can definitely add it on. But all in all, I think this is a really sweet, very easy swag to make. Yes, it is glam, but you can do it in any color you want. Here we go. Here is my glam, simple but elegant, beautiful swag. Well, what did you guys think? I hope you enjoyed this video, and I love the fact that all these swags had something different going on, different personality, different style a little bit. In the description box below, don't forget to let me know which one was your favorite, and have you ever done a swag? Let me know below. Oh, my little one decided to take a little nap. If you are new to this channel, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell button so you're notified every time a new video comes out. As for us, we're going to say thank you for being with us, and we will see you in our next video. Say bye, Louie. Mwah. Bye, guys.